is Iceman John Bailey. I want to talk to you about doing some preseason scouting for early season bow hunting, the pre-rut, and the peak of the rut. I want to start off talking about how I strategize for early season. What I normally do, I pretty much hone in on food plots. What I do, I put a camera in every corner of my plot, and that'll pretty much let me know which trails bucks are using. So within 2 weeks of the season, I'll figure out the main trails that they're using, because quite naturally my camera pretty much tell me. And then I'll check the wind, barometric pressure, and that'll let me know if I want to go in and hunt that day. I like a 30 barometric pressure, and that's, for some reason, I get a lot of deer that way. If I got a buck coming in through this location here, what he normally does, first of all, I figure out where their bedding area is. For the most part, a buck's going to be in a thicket with blowdowns, swampy areas, and that'll pretty much let you know. And also their trails, they got very narrow trails that you see. Like a doe, her trail is wide and matted down and just tracks everywhere. But a buck, it's almost like he walks in, it's like he got two legs. He just got a real narrow trail where he'll come down, and very noticeable trail. But you got to really figure out what kind of trail he got, because for the most part, a doe trail, let's just say a doe's trail is here, a buck's trail is going to be over here, walk next to her, and that's what he does. And he's real skittish, real nervous, and he used that doe for the alarm signal. So getting back to this early season hunting, what I normally do, I focus on my food plot, and whichever camera holds the most pictures of the same buck or bucks, that's when I hone in on where I'm gonna put my stand at. So what I normally do, this trail here, this is a bottleneck where you got open area here. All of this is open. Over here is open, and this is where the property starts. So what the bucks are gonna do, they're gonna come up through here first. They're not gonna come up. Not gonna come out in this opening and come into the food plot. They're gonna come. Just say if they got a funnel over here. Just assuming that they got a funnel over here, and what they're gonna do, they're gonna come through that funnel, and then they're gonna come into my trail. Or if they got a funnel down here, they're gonna come through this funnel. Even if it's a fence line, they'll do that. But they'll do it kind of late. They ain't gonna do it in the middle of the day, not unless it's during a rut. They'll come down this funnel, and then they'll come up through this bottleneck. And once they come up to this bottleneck, they'll hit the trail, then they'll turn into the food plot. So what I do, I place a stand like 20 yards off of that main trail. Mainly I know which ones I know is going into the food plot pretty heavy. So I place a stand here if the trail is real heavy here. If the trail is heavy here, over this area here, coming from this thicket, I put a stand here. And what reason why I'm putting a stand here, because if they come through here or even here, I can get a shot. So I mean, that's pretty simple. I don't want to put no stand down here because I can be skyline. I like to put a stand here, and I have some back foliage to my back. I'm not worried about my front too much. I like to have foliage in my stand behind me as a backdrop and on my sides. So that kind of eliminate the buck catching me from standing up from behind, or he can see any side movement. Because if I'm sitting in that stand, I don't look natural. I look out of place. I don't look like I'm part of the woods. So I like to put foliage on my sides and in my back. I don't like to just climb the tree and just sit there, because I'm telling you, if I look up and see a human in a tree, I know he don't belong there. But if I look up and see foliage breaking his silhouette up, I might miss him. But deer, you gotta be smart. You know, you definitely gotta be smart about that. Okay, going into that October thing. A lot of guys don't hunt during October, but what I like to do, I'll wait until like October the 15th to hunt, because the pre-rut is coming up. You see, that October 20th weekend, that's when the older does, they come in the estrus for 24 hours. I learned that by mistake when I killed a double drop time year 2000, October 28th, 2000. That's when I found out about bucks chasing does earlier than the peak of the rut. So what I normally do, I focus on acorn crops, and I also focus on doe bedding areas. That's what I do. So those staging areas, I figure out where the bucks is staging, and once I figure out where he's staging, I place a stand just outside his staging area, and I don't place it in the acorn area because a lot of times a buck, he'll lay down in that stuff. He'll lay down in that stuff at night, and then if I try to slip in there with a stand or slip in there to my stand, I'm gonna bump him. So I put my stand near that, just outside of that staging area, because a lot of times what they'll do, they'll come up through these trails down through the bottleneck or out of the thicket, and then they'll come up and eat on acorns, and they can be in there for 2 or 3 hours doing that, and I'll just wait. I'll put my stand here, or sometimes I'll put my stand over here for that, because what they can do, they can come down through this way to go to the acorns, because they're not going to walk in that real thick stuff. They're going to walk just on their buck trail, just on the outside of that thicket. And if they come in this direction here, I might not get a shot. But if they come in this direction, I can get a shot. I mean, it's like playing chess with deer. You got to figure out what trail they is, what they're on. But I also use cameras. I use a camera in here, and I use a camera on this trail and this trail, and this trail. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes I just use one camera and then I move it around just to see. And sometimes I put 2 or 3 cameras out just to see which camera is getting better results. And then, like I said, when they come out eating them acorns, they'll start walking around like that around about October 15th. They'll start cruising. You know, they're not running, but they're walking around just checking they're checking the inventory. They're seeing how many does is in the area. Bucks they're smart, and that's a good. Like I said, a lot of guys that call it October lull. A lot of guys don't like being in the woods that time of the year, but I do, because bucks are still walking around looking to see, hey, how many girls is in the woods, and I mean, I put my stand here or here to see if I got any bucks coming in that location, because what they'll do is, if you got does here, the bucks gonna come around. They might even bump them, especially the old bucks. They'll go check them and bump them and have them running all over the place, and then all of a sudden the woods just blow up. So that's pretty cool. So that's just simple. I just hunt acorn flats during October 15th, and also what I do when October 20th come around, I look for a social scrape. If you find a scrape that has 3 or 4 to 5 trails leading to it, that's considered a social scrape. I mean, you have does and bucks coming to that scrape, checking it out. So what I'll do is October 20th, I put a Magnum dripper with my Dragon estrus. I'll just hang it over top that dripper, and I just let it go ahead and drip in there. But I'll take a whole bottle first in that scrape around October 20th, and I dump the whole bottle in there. A lot of guys just put 2 or 3 squirts. Not me. I take a 2-ounce bottle and I just pour it straight down in it, and that'll fire those deer up. And then I put a camera on it, and I see what kind of deer is coming into it. And that's for the rut. I'm sorry, that's for the pre-rut. I'm sorry. And I place a stand here if I know they're hitting it pretty heavy. I put one here because they're coming up this bottleneck, and that's the only place they can really come in for this particular location here, because a lot of times on these food plots, you're not going to see no deer come straight into a food plot from an opening. What they're going to do, they're going to hit the bottleneck first, and then they're going to turn and come into the food plot. But just say here, this is just open land here. Not unless it's during a rut. They'll run out through here all day long if it's during a rut. But on that a pre-rut, this cruising phase, they're still skittish, and they're not gonna come out into the opening that much. So I place a stand here, and I try to hunt this social scrape. Well, I place a stand here because what they do, when they come up this trail here, they hit that social scrape, then they come over to this trail, and then they'll come just on outside of that doe bedding area, looking around. Then they'll hit these trails, and then they'll go back right on back up through here. And if they're hungry, they'll stop and hit the acorns. And by me having a stand here, even here, I can get a shot on that buck, a possible shot, should I say? Okay. And during let's say October 25th, I really hunt this spot here pretty heavy because a lot of the times I get a lot of activity at this camera where I got this dripper, just dripping. I mean, I got bucks coming in like crazy, checking here, and they're just beating the branches all up, turning licking branches up. And then I'll just go ahead and I'll focus on this stand and this stand, because they're going to be coming from either direction to either give me a shot. They're going to either be coming from this direction to check it, they're going to be coming from this direction to check it. They're not even going to be eating too many acorns around about the 25th, because what they're going to be doing, they're going to be focused more on those